Hello, Cubs, and today we are going to continue our reading of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And to remind us where we left off, we started our final chapter with the first sentence of the name of the chapter, The Man with Two Faces. And we found out that the man, in fact, in that last chamber was not Professor Snape, but indeed Professor Quirrell. So I asked you for some predictions on what you think the title means. And I basically got Nishmita said he's in trouble. Diley says he has magic, and with magic he has two faces. Trinity, he has two faces. Caden, maybe there's a two-faced man. Henry, a two-faced man will play a trick, and Desiree thought the same thing. A two-faced man will play the same trick. But I want to pause before we really start and to think about what two-faced means, because two-faced can mean literally, that means like in real life, like you have two faces, but it also can mean that you figuratively have two faces, which means you have basically, when people say, oh, you have two faces, they don't mean you literally have two faces usually. Now, they mean that you have one face that you look at them with and another face that's the opposite. Like you can't be trusted, kind of. It's like you're two different people. So the name of this title can really have two meanings. It can have, yes, you have two faces, as in you might literally have two faces. Or it could also mean, hey, you have one side that you show people and one side that's a lot sneakier and not as nice that you keep hidden. And that's all very true of Professor Quirrell, right? Because no one would have thought it was him. So let's begin our final chapter of Harry Potter. It was Quirrell. You! Gasped Harry. Quirrell smiled. His face wasn't twitching at all. Me, he said calmly. I wonder whether I'd be meeting you here, Potter. But I thought Snape... Severus. Quirrell laughed, but it wasn't his usual quivering treble either, but cold and sharp. Yes, Severus does seem the type, doesn't he? So useful to have him swooping around like an overgrown bat. Next to him, who would suspect... stuttering Professor Quirrell. Harry couldn't take it in. This couldn't be true. But Snape tried to kill me. No. I tried to kill you. Your friend Miss Granger accidentally knocked me over as she rushed to set fire to Snape at that Quidditch match. She broke my eye contact with you. Another few seconds, and I'd have got you off that broom. I'd have managed it before then if Snape hadn't been muttering the counter-curse, trying to save you. Snape was trying to save me. Of course, said Quirrell coolly. Why do you think he wanted to referee your next match? He was trying to make sure I didn't do it again. Funny, really. He needn't have bothered. I couldn't do anything with Dumbledore watching. All of the other teachers thought Snape was trying to stop Gryffindor winning. He did make himself unpopular. What a waste of time when, after all, I am going to kill you tonight. Eek! He definitely has two faces, right? He pretends to be good, but he really is not. Quirrell snapped his fingers. Ropes sprang out of thin air and wrapped themselves tightly around Harry. You're too nosy to live, Potter, scurrying around the school at Halloween like that. For all I knew, you'd seen me coming to look at what was guarding the stone. You let that troll in? Certainly. I have a special gift with trolls. You must have seen what I did to the one in the chamber back there. Unfortunately, while everyone else was running around looking for it, Snape, who already suspected me, went straight to the third floor to head me off. And not only did my troll fail to beat you to death, that three-headed dog didn't even manage to bite Snape's leg off properly. Wait. Now wait quietly, Potter. I need to examine this interesting mirror. It was up. Pause. What mirror do you think it is? Yeah, I bet it is that one. Let's see. It was only then Harry realized what was standing behind Quirrell. It was the mirror of Erised. This mirror is the key to finding the stone, Quirrell murmured, tapping his way along the frame. Trust Dumbledore to come up with something like this. But he's in London. I'll be far away by the time he gets back. All Harry could do all Harry could think of doing was to keep Professor Quirrell talking and to stop him concentrating on the mirror. I saw you and Snape in the forest, he blurted out. Yes, said Quirrell idly, walking around the mirror looking at the back. He was on to me by then, trying to find out how far I'd got. He suspected me all along, tried to frighten me, as though he could, when I had Lord Voldemort on my side. Quirrell came back out from behind the mirror and stared hungrily into it. I see the stone. I am presenting it to my master. But where is it? Harry struggled against the ropes binding him, but they didn't give. He had to keep Quirrell from giving his whole attention to the mirror. But Snape always seemed to hate me so much. Oh, he does, said Quirrell casually. Heavens, yes. He was at Hogwarts with your father, didn't you know? They loathed each other. But he never wanted you dead. But I heard you a few days ago sobbing. I thought Snape was threatening you. For the first time, a spasm of fear flitted across Quirrell's face. Sometimes, he said, I find it hard to follow my master's instructions. He is a great wizard, and I am weak. You mean he was there in the classroom with you? Harry gasped. He is with me wherever I go, said Quirrell quietly. I met him when I travelled around the world. A foolish young man I was then, full of ridiculous ideas about good and evil. Lord Voldemort showed me how I was wrong. There is no good and evil. There is only power, and those too weak to seek it. Pause there. Do you agree or disagree with that statement? That there is no good and evil? Yes, I really super disagree. And this thought, there is only power and those too weak to seek it, is a pretty evil kind of thought to me. Since then I have served him faithfully, although I have let him down many times. He has had to be very hard on me. Quirrell shivered suddenly. He does not forgive mistakes easily. When I failed to steal the stone from Gringotts, he was most displeased. He punished me. He decided he would have to keep a closer watch on me. Quirrell's voice trailed away. He was remembering his trip to Diagon Alley. How could he have been so stupid? He'd seen Quirrell there that very day, shaking hands with him in the leaky cauldron. Quirrell cursed under his breath. I don't understand. Is the stone inside the mirror? Should I break it? Harry's mind was racing. What I want more than anything else in the world at the moment, he thought. Oh no, sorry. What I want more than anything else in the world at the moment, he thought, so he's not saying it out loud, is to find the stone before Quirrell does. So if I look in the mirror, I should see myself finding it, which means I'll see where it is hidden. But how can I look without Quirrell realizing what I'm up to? He tried to edge to the left to get in front of the glass without Quirrell noticing, but the ropes around his ankles were too tight. He tripped and fell over. Quirrell ignored him. He was still talking to himself. What does the mirror do? How does it work? Help me, master. And to Harry's horror, a voice answered, and the voice seemed to be coming from Quirrell himself. Use the boy. Use the boy. Quirrell rounded on Harry. Yes, Potter, come here. He clapped his hands at once, and the ropes binding Harry fell off. Harry got up slowly to his feet. Come here, Quirrell repeated. Look in the mirror and tell me what you see. Harry walked towards him. I must lie, he thought desperately. I must look and lie about what I see. That's all. Quirrell moved close behind him. Harry breathed in the funny smell that seemed to come from Quirrell's turban. He closed his eyes, stepped in front of the mirror, and opened them again. He saw his reflection, pale and scared-looking, but a moment later the reflection smiled at him. It put its hand into its pocket and pulled out a blood-red stone. It winked and put the stone back in its pocket, and as it did so, Harry felt something heavy drop into his real pocket. Somehow, incredibly, he'd got the stone. Oh, so now Harry's got it. What's he going to do? Harry screwed up his courage. I see myself shaking hands with Dumbledore, he invented. I've won the house cup for Gryffindor. Quirrell cursed again. Get out of the way, he said, as Harry, we'll look at that in a second, moved aside. He felt the sorcerer's stone against his leg. Dare he make a break for it? But he hadn't walked 5 paces before a high voice spoke, though Quirrell wasn't moving his lips. He lies! He lies! Potter, come back here! Quirrell shouted. Tell me the truth. What did you see? The high voice spoke again. Let me see him! Face him! Face to face! Master, you're not strong enough. I have strength enough for this! He felt as if the devil's snare was rooting him to the spot. He couldn't move a muscle. Petrified, he watched as Quirrell reached up. Okay, I'm going to show you something. It's a creepy picture, all right? As Quirrell reached up and began to unwrap his turban, what was going on? The turban fell away, and Quirrell's head looked strangely small without it. He turned slowly on the spot. Harry would have screamed, but he couldn't make a sound. Where there should have been a back to Quirrell's head, there was a face. It was the most terrible face Harry had ever seen. It was chalk white, with glaring red eyes and slits for nostrils, like a snake. So I'm going to move this picture over because it's super creepy. Okay. Harry Potter, it whispered. Harry tried to take a step backwards, but his legs wouldn't move. See what I have become, the face said. Mere shadow and vapour. I have form only when I share another's body. But there have been always those willing to let me into their hearts and minds. Unicorn blood has strengthened me. These past weeks, you saw faithful Quirrell drinking it for me in the forest. And once I have the elixir of life, I will be able to create a body of my own. Now, why don't you give me that stone in your pocket? So he knew. The feeling suddenly surged back to Harry's legs. He stumbled backwards. Don't be a fool, snarled the face. Better save your own life and join me, or you'll meet the same end as your parents. They died begging me for mercy. Oh, thank goodness. They died begging me for mercy. Liar! Harry shouted suddenly. Quirrell was walking backwards at him so that Voldemort could still see him. The evil face was now smiling. So we're going to stop there for today because Miss Candleberry's sister, obviously, as you can see right now, is trying to call me. So I want you to leave your predictions in the comments and let me know what you think. Okay?